I enjoy watching police videos. Some of them, anyhow. There's certainly an element of Schadenfreude in there. I can't stand people who break the law, cause problems. I very much just want to be left alone. And so I enjoy seeing troublemakers getting their comeuppance. That does not, however, mean that I like the police. I'm not a fan of the police. I have detailed why in other videos, but for a brief summary, they have never been there when I've needed them there. I have no criminal record. I've never been in jail or prison, anything like that. I think I had like a registration ticket like 5-6 years ago. That's the extent. And I haven't had a speeding ticket since Ronald Reagan was in office. And so this is not coming from a place of bitterness. Cops just have never been there for me. I've needed them only twice in my life, and both times they let me down. I think that their main purpose is revenue generation for the state and the feds, and they happen to do some good along the way. I'm not saying I hate cops. I'm not saying I wish them any ill. I just don't want to interact with them. And I live my life in such a way that hopefully I never have to interact with them. But if you live in the United States, there's a high probability that at some point you will have to interact with the police at least once. It's important to know what to do in that case when that happens. So let's just take a traffic stop, okay? I'm going to tell you how you should act so you don't get shot or needlessly put in jail. Let's say you're going along the road. Some night, and a cop gets behind you, lights you up. Now, at that point, the interaction begins. And it's important for you to set a courteous tone, just as it's incumbent upon the cop to be professional. You're both human beings. He's got a difficult and dangerous job. Sorry. Let's say it's night. The first thing I would do is I would put on my four-ways. That's to acknowledge to the officer that I've seen him and I recognize his authority. Personally, I would probably pull over like onto a side road or something. But if you're a female, I can understand why you might want to stop at a gas station, someplace that's lit up and public and has other people there. Most cops, I think, would understand that as well. With your four-ways on, proceed at a slightly reduced rate of speed to that gas station or whatever. Do not in any way give the impression that you are fleeing or eluding. You might even want to call 911 if it's going to be like, a mile before you get to the local gas station. Explain to them that you recognize that the officer's behind you, you're not trying to evade them, and tell the operator where you are going to be stopping and that you plan to fully comply. So you've gotten to your place, where you and the cop are going to deal with each other face to face. What I would recommend, weather permitting, one hand on the steering wheel. The other hand, your left hand, outside the window. Let the cop see your left hand, and as he gets closer, let him see that your right hand is on the steering wheel. Hopefully that will put him a little bit at ease, because you're non-verbally communicating to him that, hey, I'm not a threat to you. And, I mean, it's a dangerous job. There's no arguing with that, regardless of how you feel about police. And this man has been authorized by society to use lethal force. Sometimes they'll use lethal force wrongly. That's just a fact. Right? Do not give them any reason to think that you are hostile. When he comes up, acknowledge his presence. Hello, officer, good evening. Something along those lines. Some people will say that you should have your license and registration and all that shit out before he gets there. I don't like that. I want him to be able to see that I'm not moving around in my vehicle trying to get anything or hide anything. When he gets there, he'll probably say, may I see your license and registration, proof of insurance, that sort of thing. I'm going to telegraph all my moves for that officer to keep him at ease. Officer, my license is in my wallet. May I grab that out of my jeans? Officer, my registration is in the glove box. Is it okay if I grab that now for you? Officer, my insurance is on my phone. May I pull my phone out and pull that up for you? A lot of people may have issues with what they see as subservient behavior. I just call it being polite, doing what I gotta do not to get shot, recognizing our common humanity, putting him at ease. I respect the position. You should always respect the position. You don't have to respect the individual. A lot of, cops are human beings. Some are good, some are bad, some are assholes, some are punks. Some, will give you the shirt off their back. So, you don't have to like cops. You don't have to, kiss their ass. But police have a lot of discretion on what happens. It is certainly not going to hurt you to be polite and comply. And the faster you comply, the faster you can go on your way, regardless of the situation. Cops have the right to ask you to step out of the vehicle and your passengers. Pennsylvania v. Mims, I think. If a cop asks you to step out of the vehicle, don't give him any shit. Just say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. I assume calling a female cop ma'am is okay. I don't know. They may want you to call them something else, but I've always gone by sir and ma'am as signs of respect. I'm purposefully not going to be moving fast or doing any jerky movement. I'm going to be very slow, very deliberate, very calm. They want to see my license, I'm going to give them my license. Want to see registration, proof of insurance, I'm going to give them all that shit. You may think, well, this is a bullshit stop. This cop is totally in the wrong. I didn't run that stop sign or red light. I wasn't going, 60 and a 50 or whatever it is. Man, the side of the road, a traffic stop is not where you argue your case. You do that in front of a judge. The cop is there to handle infractions, crimes, misdemeanors, in your case, whatever it may be. So don't give the cop attitude. That is just a bad fucking idea, regardless. Let's say you're going to get arrested. Do exactly what they say. You will have your day in court. Do not antagonize the police. And if you're stupid enough to try and fight them or run away or whatever, man, this video really isn't for you because you're stupid. You're going to do whatever the fuck it is you want to do anyhow because you're God's special little snowflake. And I think that just as general advice for dealing with the police, be it in a traffic stop or if they just pull you over, you're walking down the street and then they pull you over, they say, we have a BOLO for a suspect that meets your description. Well, if you did it, you're cooked. So, if you're a thief or a criminal, then again, this video isn't for you because you're a low-life idiot. If you're a law-abiding citizen, do what they say. Don't try and play games. I don't give information. I don't answer questions. Why would you do that? All you're doing is extending the time that you have to deal with this cop. Just give him the shit that he wants, man, or she wants. It's not complicated. We live in a society of rules and regulations. You benefit daily from those rules and regulations. The police, like it or not, are part of those rules and regulations. Society has authorized them to be able to do things that the normal citizens can't. However you feel about them or the law or judges or whatever, man, that's a totally separate issue. And no one gives a shit. I know this. But you're entitled to feel how you want to feel, just like I don't like cops, Said, man, I got no use for them. And where I live, if I did need a cop, it would take them so long to get out here that I better be able to handle the problem by myself, and I can. And like I said, I live my life in such a way to where hopefully I never have to interact with the police. It's not something I enjoy, but no one does. So again, I guess just to summarize, be polite, do what they say, don't give them any reason to believe that you are going to get physical with them, comply with their orders. It's okay to move a little bit more slowly. Doesn't mean to lollygag, but just make sure they see that you are not a threat. Make sure, don't put your hands in your pockets or your hoodie, anything like where a gun or a knife or something could be, man. This is not complicated. Just be a decent human being. And if you do all these things, man, and you're innocent, then you will most likely be found innocent. If you do all these things and you're guilty, it'll probably prevent your situation from getting worse. But this is just my advice based on watching these videos and my own 50 plus years of life experience. As someone who has no criminal record, nothing on his driver's license or anything like that. So, y'all take care. Be safe out there. Do what you got to do to go home. That applies to everybody.